Well, welcome back to the channel. Here I am in a not very sunny Yorkshire with a lovely little flower farm. This is one of my Georgie Flower Farmer on Tours clips, and I'm visiting a little flower farm on the outskirts of Leeds, and I'd like to introduce you to Rebecca, who is flower farming on a half-acre plot, and it's coming along a treat. So here we go. Hello Rebecca, would you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your farm?
Hi Georgie, thank you for coming today. My name's Rebecca, I'm flower farmer here. We're in North Leeds and we are on a half-acre plot that has been going for about 3 years. We have changed as we've gone along, so we have a mixture of annuals for about a third of our plot, foliage that's just over a third of our plot, and then perennials that are growing. And Georgie's showing you some of those lovely new plants that are going into the ground at the moment as we speak.
I have to say, the perennial and your greenery collection is absolutely fantastic. And then can we carry on round and we'll talk and have a look as we go. I love the way Rebecca's been very nervous and said, it looks untidy. It doesn't look untidy. It looks like a flower farm in the autumn. And here is this amazing helichrysum crop. It's been going and going and going, hasn't it?
So we've cut thousands of stems from the helichrysum this year, and it literally won't stop. I work with a young lady called Gemma, and she's been saying to me, "Are we cutting more helichrysum?" I'm afraid so.
How many? Do you know off the top of your head how many helichrysum plants ballpark went in?
So there's 75 per row, and there are 3 rows in total.
So that's 225 plants.
Yes.
I love that. And you've had thousands of stems.
We've had thousands of stems, thousands cut fresh, thousands cut for drying. They've been an incredibly productive crop.
This is
just stunning.
Look at that gorgeous peachy colour.
So we've done a full range. So the whites don't keep very well if we catch the rain, and we're in Yorkshire, so we do catch a little rain. But the burgundies and reds are really good for Christmas.
They are.
And the peaches are good for weddings and for spring, summer work.
And what's this tall white person in the middle?
Oh, this is gorgeous. This is Reseda. So Reseda is a new one for us this year.
Reseda?
Reseda, R-E-S-E-D-A.
I don't know it.
It is a perennial.
Yes.
It's in the middle of my annuals crops, but we're just going to let that pass. But again, it has cut and it has cut and it has cut. So the first few stems were a little bit short, kind of 15 to 20 centimetres. As the season has gone on, it's given us these gorgeous long stems. They're really lovely for kind of wedding work. They give that kind of lovely movement.
Yes.
They give it that lovely spire. It's lovely white. It's quite delicate, but you've still got some foliage.
It's got nice foliage as well. It's really great.
The other thing is that once it dries, it goes to seed, and it dries really well.
Oh, fantastic. So, Rebecca, how many roses ballpark have you got here?
121 roses.
121 roses.
So we ordered 120. They gave us one extra for free, and they're in a range of colours. So there's yellows, pinks, whites, some peachy ones, and then more whites at the end. All lovely long stems, not too thorny, and really heavily scented, which is really stunning. Really looking forward to those next year.
Yeah, and these went in this January.
Yes.
And so you haven't really cropped them at all this year,
Yes.
but they did okay because of course it was an amazing year for roses.
Yeah.
But look, would you look at the alpaca poo?
We're talking about poo. Yeah, they've done really well. But we split them, so some of them have been mulched with the alpaca poo, some of them weren't mulched with alpaca poo, and the ones that were absolutely did 100 times better.
You see, alpaca mulch is everything, and alpaca poo is great. This is a view of a flower farm in autumn, and you may think, oh God, really, where do you start and where do you finish? But I cannot tell you. This is very, very organised. It's got everything you need. I love that tall patch of more eucalyptus up there, because that's it's going to be a great windbreak. I love the pink snowberries going down here. They're really, really fantastic, and I want snowberries. I feel as though you've got loads and loads to look at. Let's go and look at your new planting. Look at your amazing Cruspedia, Rebecca.
So the Cruspedia we've just been talking about, but it's quite a difficult crop to grow from the seed, because the seed that we buy is often just a bit too old and a bit too dry.
Yes.
So we have tried to regenerate the crop. So these were grown from seed. and they've done really well. They've perennialised, so they've coped with our winter and our cold, and it's not rain up here in Yorkshire. And I've let a few of them go to seed this summer, and I've saved them and grown them from my own seed quite successfully. So I think that's probably my top tip about Craspedia. Don't buy the seed, use some from your own plants.
Use your own seed. I think I have to say, I can tell you're a flower farmer. A real flower person has this thing where they stand there and they stroke their flowers. They hold the flowers lovingly and don't let go. I think it's a good sign. This is a half-acre plot, so you've got about an eighth of an acre here with your perennials on.
Yes.
Rebecca?
Yes, so these are all first year perennials, with the exception of the peonies at the front here that desperately need cutting back. They are all grown from seed, and they were grown last autumn and have gone in this spring.
They've done nicely.
Really first part of March. The beds underneath are a mixture of green manure and manure, I think it was horse's manure that they had, and they've done really, really well. They've been super happy.
And then under the plastic, what are you going to have there?
So under the plastic we have alliums that I need to uncover, and then there's some empty space to have more perennials. So those are in the greenhouse at the moment, ready to be potted up. It probably is just about warm enough to put them in, but they're still quite small.
Yes.
So I really want to give them some time over winter just to grow on a bit more.
So you have a greenhouse at home.
Yes.
And then, so you use that as your sort of undercover space, and then you
Yes.
bring everything up here.
Yes.
And look at this is next year. These are your annuals.
So these are our autumn sown annuals that went in a couple of weeks ago. They're in nice, cool, moist soil, and we've just left them. So for now, they are as they are, and we'll leave them. But we'll cover them as it gets a bit colder, just to give them a bit of protection. But they will hopefully start flowering back end of May.
Because your zone, we're colder than us. We're kind of 8, 9. I think you're more 9. Okay, this is the Americans. We have lots of Americans. Apologies, Americans. We're not such brilliant zoners,
My
but
apologies, we're cold.
but you're cold. You're warm enough to have overwintering annuals outside, but you will. Some mesh will go over this just to give them a sort of tunnel feel.
Yes, so we use EnviroMesh because you can still get rainwater through it, and it allows the wind to carry on through, which means that they don't get mildewy.
Okay, and then so that's what all these lovely blue hoops are for.
Yes.
You're going to hoop all the space, cover it with EnviroMesh, and then that'll come off April, May, February, March. Cool, you're tough with your plants.
I'm not sure we're tough with them. We just need them to have nice sturdy stems, and I found that the longer I left the mesh on, the softer and floppy they were.
Well, thank you very much, Rebecca. I love your farm behind you. So let's go home and have a cup of tea. Thank you very much. And I believe there's cake. Ah. So here we are back at Rebecca's house. And so Rebecca is flower farming on 2 plots. One up at the field, you've just seen, that half acre. And then this is her garden in North Leeds. And what she's got here is, this is the beginning of the flower farm, and then it grew up into the field. And I'm just going to, while she puts the kettle on and makes us a cup of tea, I'm going to take you for a round for a quick look and show you what she's got going back here. I think it's a genius setup. So lots of lovely eucalyptus, more of this incredible brachioglottis, which is incredibly useful. The beds in between the euc, and of course the eucalyptus gets cut down so they don't overshadow the beds. It's clever. More roses, which means that if she gets a quick order, she can ping out and cut the roses. Well mulched with the alpaca poo, which has done so well for her. A little bit of EnviroMesh over I Spy with my little eye. Ranunculus inside the tunnel here. And there they are coming up. You see the little green people? I will zoom in. Look, those are little ranunculus. And this is quite free draining soil, well mulched, and they will be fine out here because we're in the town. It's warmer than being outside. Now, I really love this very beautiful eucalyptus. Here's my hand so you can see how pretty is that. I don't grow eucalyptus, but I'm rather inspired to have a go with this because it's very different. I think people don't realise how many different kinds of eucalyptus there are. I'm looking for a label. I might have to ask Rebecca. You take the thing back.
Thank you.
Put it on somewhere. It's very good timing that you're here. And look at, how's this for a polytunnel full of promise?
So again, we're ready for spring this year. We're properly ready. So we've got Nigella, we've got Ericium here, Calendula in, Foliage, something I can never remember the name of that gives a lovely purple and yellow flower. Scabious, some phlox, Tanacetum.
Yes.
A few bits, and then ranunculus on this side.
And then lots of ranunculus are down this side.
And then there's more going to go in the middle.
More in the middle?
Yes.
You're going to find yourself... Is this a new tunnel?
It was new last winter.
So it's done one season?
It's on one season, yeah.
And was it full this spring, or is it... This is its first kind of... Yeah.
So the things that went in late December last year didn't do so well. It was a real learning curve last year.
Yeah.
We learnt about how warm it is, the direction things that lean in, how much we need to stake. So we will stake this year, which we haven't done historically. And just about how much we can fit in.
I know.
And as much as possible is the key. So.
Yes, but you've got doors at both ends, which really helps with the ventilation, because that's one of the troubles with polytunnels, I think, is they get very hot. They get so hot, but they also there's no air sometimes.
No, so there is a door for there, but we've taken it off and we've put the crate over it because we found that in the morning when we're sorting the children and life's happening, we often would forget, especially on hot days, and that's a disaster.
And that's a disaster.
So we took that off and we put a crate on one end,
Yeah.
Mainly to stop the foxes. So that's the only reason we've got anything at the other end.
Of course, urban foxes.
Yes. So they're really tame. The foxes will come and jump over our garden furniture. So they would happily come in and have a dig. And
I know, we have deer and you have foxes. Foxes and sheep. If I didn't get them together. No, I didn't say that. Okay, this is gorgeous. Right, moving. Look at the greenhouse.
Our greenhouse.
How big is this greenhouse? People always want to know how big it is.
So this is 8 foot wide.
Is it 8 by 10?
Maybe 10 foot long.
Yeah.
So it's not huge, it's kind of family garden sized, but all of our plants go through here. All of our seedlings go through here.
And do you grow everything from seed, or do you ever direct sow?
So this is the first year that we've done direct sowing in autumn. We've done some in spring the past couple of years and it's gone really well.
Yeah.
But most things are grown from seed because it gives me a bit more control, and also from a time perspective, I don't have the time with other jobs and other things to be going back and thinning things out every time something pops up.
I totally agree. I think I used to do much more direct sowing, and I found that actually sowing seed, I know how many plants I'm going to have, therefore how much space I need. I can control the timings much more. And I appreciate, you have not a full-time, but you work very hard elsewhere. And this is not your side hustle, this is your half and half hustle.
It's a half and half hustle, so I just need that control to be able to know what's happening, when it's happening, and how much of it I'm going to have.
Now, talk me through your crates here.
I love a crate. I love a crate because it's waste that we can recycle. We do use a lot of plastic, but most of it is recycled, and if it's not recycled, it will last for years and years. So these are in their third year, and they'll be going for another 5 or 10 if we continue to look after them, and that's the key. These have got ranunculus in, so I just said that we're going to put more down the middle. They are in here. We've got as far as soaking them and getting them in the compost with a little bit of extra feed in, and then they'll go along the middle with some stakes. So they should come to maybe knee height. So they won't be too
but they'll
tall.
stay in the crates.
They'll stay in the crates.
That's fantastic. And are you creating tulips as well?
Yes.
And are the tulips? So will the tulips then be moved around to warm them up as you want them to shoot?
So they're currently in the shade of the house. They like the shade. We can't force because we don't have a fridge and we don't have somewhere cool and dark. But the shade of the house does quite well in terms of helping them.
Yes.
We did move some last year, but actually still in spring we didn't get quite enough light down here. So really only a few feet away from the house to be able to get a bit more sunlight.
Yeah. It's clever though. You're being very, very clever with the space. I mean, this is not a huge patch. This back garden is, I mean, 1/8 of an acre, I think.
Probably less.
Or possibly less. And you've still got room for the kids to play, which is important.
Yes, very much so.
But you've also really filled it up with kind of secondary flower farm and
Spring. So most of the things down here at the house are spring based.
so this is spring.
Yes.
And then summer and autumn happen up at the field.
Yes, because of access, because we're on that 2-site process. We really learned in that first year that getting up to the field in winter across a field in the wet and the rain
And snow sometimes.
snow, was really hard work.
Yeah.
And so we didn't want to miss out on spring.
No.
So we brought it home.
But it's brilliant. So that means basically, if you put your 2 plots together, you've got possibly well over half an acre. So or let's call it 2/3 of an acre. But 1/3 of it is here.
Yeah.
It's very tidy. It's very tidy, organised, efficient. And for somebody with very full on other job, it means you can manage both.
Yeah.
Rebecca,
Yes.
your business is called
Silver grey foliage.
Silver Grey Foliage. And what have you made here?
So here we have the Silver Grey Foliage Flower Farmers Planner for 2023. It is the first year that we've written it, written by me, edited by my husband, and printed by a lovely lady called Liz, or designed by a lovely lady called Liz.
And just before, so that we remember that this can be ordered online.
This can be ordered online now on our website until it's sold out.
And your website is www.
.silvergreyfoliage.com.
So talk us through it quickly.
So it's written by us. It's here to be able to help flower farmers plan their year and get rid of that overwhelm that happens all the time.
Yes.
So we have structured it so that there is some important information at the front and there's guidance at the beginning of every section. So especially aimed at people like us who have never run a business and who really need to think about their finances and what they want to be able to cover with their flower farm business. And there's a financial section right at the beginning to make you think
Very
about
sensible.
The second section is about thinking about the year. So we do have a year planner so that you can get your holidays in there more than anything else right at the beginning.
Got to get your holidays in.
I learned the hard way that you really do need to get those in. And then we split the season planner into quarters. So January to March, April to June, and then there's an autumn section and a winter section so that you can think about the things that you need to get done, the things that you need to be growing, the things that the customers that you'll be working with, and the flowers that you have available, and so that you've thought about that ahead of each quarter, and you can talk to your customers about it.
I think this is genius. Are you going to fill it in yourself?
I am.
Have you got yours already half filled? Don't show me.
The other thing that's really important is big costs, because especially when you are doing this from scratch and you've never thought about a business structure, it's really important to just spread those costs across the year rather than having to do everything in January, because that's just not feasible for most people. So
It's so true. It's so true. I always have a thing too that I often tell people, as you sell, I say, if you can put 10% of your revenue in a savings account, and so like every pound you take, 10p goes into a savings account. And you might not think it's very much at the time,
It adds up.
but my goodness, it adds up. And that's your polytunnel, that's your investing in roses, that's the big spend for the following autumn.
Yes.
And also, it's really reassuring.
Knowing that there's something for a rainy day if you really need something.
Yeah, rainy day money. It's really worth it. So come on, quickly, show us the rest.
So the second section the third section is all about your week. So we really want to encourage people to think about their month and make notes as they go along, to take those jobs from that first planning section so that they know what they're going to get done, and whether that be propagating or making beds or buying new bits of equipment, and then to think about their week, when they do have time, when they don't have time, what they've got available, the number of stems that they're able to cut.
That's
from those
genius,
things.
particularly for people when you know, this for you is not a side hustle, this is a half and half hustle.
Yes.
But so the tension between your other job and the flower farming job is a strong tension, and the people who you work with on the other job often assume that you've got nothing else to do, and actually on your spare days you're just having a nice time sitting in the sunshine gardening. But as you said earlier, and I thought this was such a great line, you said everything you do is hard work, but you may as well do what you enjoy.
There's no such thing as an easy job in life, and I think it's really important that if you're going to work hard, that what you're doing brings you and others some joy.
I completely agree, and to be able to plan it so carefully means that you can.
So the month helps you to do that and to just get your other work lives in there too. But the other thing that we really wanted to help people to do was to think about the things that they're missing. So when you've got a flower farm, you might be missing the kind of lacy things and the fluffy things, or you might be missing extra foliage, and to make a note of it as you go along, and to think about the other things that really affect your business. So your income, what's come in that week, what's going on with pests and wildlife, what's the weather doing, and to make other notes. And we're running businesses, and in this day and age, businesses include social media. So there's a section to write down a little thing that may seem really small to you, but it makes a phenomenal story if you pad it out with a few lines for everybody else.
I totally agree with that as well, because also what we're doing is we're growing something for other people to buy, and they don't just buy the flowers. They're not buying just flowers. Particularly, I find my market, when they buy from me, they really want the story of the fact that there's lots of wildlife at the patch. They want to know that they're supporting an ecological sort of explosion of life on my little acreage. They're not just buying flowers. Yes, they want the best quality flowers that there are.
Beautiful, scented, long lasting.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what have you got at the back?
So next is a field planner. So this was the printed proof, so it's missing a couple of pages, which won't be in the real thing. But just to stretch your field and to draw it out as it is at the moment, and then to think about it. So we've got some reflection questions to help you to think about things that you might want to change as the year goes on. More area for notes. And in this field planning section, there's also a section about your permanent stock, and allowing you to just plan that by month so that you know where your gaps are, and so you can plug those gaps when you're thinking about your propagation.
This is genius. And of course, you've done all this in your spare time, Rebecca.
In my spare time,
you have so much spare time.
So there's a propagation section, which is a little bit about hardy annuals and half annuals. We've got some scribbles in there from me and biennials, so you can effectively choose what you're going to put in each of these areas in terms of your priority. Plenty of space, so that you can do some autumn sowing, spring sowing for a couple of rounds, biennials, and then start again for your following year.
I think this is fantastic.
And something for your dahlia. There's an area for cuttings and propagation. So really think about all those main areas where we get our crops from. I have to say that for me, the reason that we started growing and we set up Silver Grey was because a friend asked me to do her wedding flowers. And when she asked me to do her wedding flowers, I went to the wholesalers and I thought I could grow better flowers.
Yes.
I learnt from florists particularly that foliage didn't come in great condition, so there was a ton of waste. And so there's a sustainability section that covers everything from how you water and feed, and prompts you in these kind of beigey bits to think about areas that will really help you just make the most of it and write down your plans. So it gives you some accountability and something to go back to in the same place as the rest of your planner. Wildlife, soil, your floristry, and finally your business. So this covers the whole year. We really want people to think about their whole year, and to help them to do that, we've given you a section on income and expenditure, on the things that have brought you joy and your own well-being, the areas that you want to change in your business, and your customers and marketing as well, so that you think about that at some stage in your year. And it may be that you do it more than once, to be able to think about how you will change what you grow for the future.
Yeah. And has this been very much driven by the fact, I mean, you've only been flower farming for what, 3-4 years?
Yes.
And so this is what you've learned in the last 4 years that you've been working on your business. I want to put this right in front of you, and there we are, like this.
Thank you.
What you've learned as you've gone along, And I think this is so reflective of how flower farming works, in that it is an enormously supportive industry. Yeah. I feel as though, you know, in the same way that I kind of trawl around the country talking to people that I've come across and whose businesses seem to me to reflect something that there may be more people out there, and I want to, you know, you're the first really urban flower farmer that I've come across. And well, people may say, but you seem to be on a Blasted Heath earlier. Actually, that is right on the edge of North Leeds, and 5 minutes later, here we are in the middle of North Leeds in your townhouse with your town garden. Yeah. And I think so many people, this is really living the dream without moving to the countryside, without having to become something completely different. So I think, and this is classic. Here is a flower farmer who has had lots of time to think, well, not lots of time, but nevertheless, who is a natural kind of nerds out in a good way.
Yes.
And has put that nerdiness down in a book for other people to benefit from, which is incredibly generous.
It is generous, but also it's just filling in those gaps. So we thought about the things that were missing when we went on courses or when we read things, or the places that we need to plan and put information together. We really wanted to help. I've tried a number of planners, and you use a computer system here and a book there and a phone here. You need everything in one place so that you can reference your own growing in your own environment.
Exactly.
And that's the thing that really makes a difference to your future change, as well as the learning that you get from the courses that you go on.
I totally agree. I think it's brilliant. So, well, thank you very much. How much is this to order from your website?
To order from our website, it's £55 plus postage and packaging.
Well, I think that's
printed in the UK. It's printed in Peterborough.
I think it's a bargain, actually, because it's long experience has taught me that I can tell people how I flower farm. I'm going to turn the camera. I like the binoculars, very important. But yes, long experience has taught me that whatever I share with people is not really how to flower farm, but my job is to help people think about their own situations. And that's exactly what you've done here, is help people think, because I flower farm in a particular way, which suits me, my family life, my experience, and you are doing a similar thing. We're not the same, but anything that can help people think for themselves and think about their own processes, I think is incredibly valuable. So do have a look at Rebecca's amazing Flower Farmers Planner for 2023. Congratulations. I think it's so will you, ideally, you'll do a new one every year?
So a new one every year, so you have that reference, you can see the change, because 1 year is great,
yeah,
but it's the pattern and the things that you've changed that tell you this worked, this didn't, I'll do this again, I won't do that again.
But also businesses develop, they're not the same. My business is certainly enormously different from 12, 13 years ago when we started, and I have every intention, not even, I don't expect it, I intend my business to be different in another 10 years. I'm 55 and I don't intend to retire until I'm 70. I can't afford it. But equally, I've got to keep myself interested. I've got to keep my customers amused. I've got to keep the money coming in, because we've got family to support and, you know, kids and all of that. And so that's a brilliant tool for people to learn how they're learning.
So even in 3 years, our business has changed, and the customer group that I thought we would start with and would remain our customer group has completely changed in 3 years.
That's really amazing.
Even in 3 years, that's happened, and we can see that through our notes in various notebooks. Yeah. But it'd be better to have it in one place.
Well, congratulations, Rebecca. I think you'll agree that this is a brilliant thing. Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you very much for coming.
It's a pleasure. So thank you for coming along to this lovely visit to Silver Grey Foliage. We met, Rebecca and I, on Instagram originally, and have been sort of chatting away over the last year or so. And it's been such a pleasure to come up here and see an urban flower farm in action and talk to somebody who has taken all the things that they've learned and so generously put it all into that Flower Farmers Year calendar book that you can really use I think both of us have decided, you know, I know that if I can help you think harder about your flower farming, and Rebecca has understood if she can help you think harder about your flower farming, then we will all be better flower farmers, and the product that our customers are used to buying from us will be better quality, and there will be more of it, and we'll all make a better living. So thanks very much for coming along. Please do subscribe to the channel. Press the bell icon if we've got, so we tell you when we've got more clips coming out. And if any of the tips and tricks I've given you along the way are useful, please do buy me a coffee. The coffee buying link is in the blurb to all my clips, and I will put the information for ordering a copy of Rebecca's book in the blurb to this clip as well. Thanks very much, and I'll see you soon. Bye.